This meeting is being live streamed. Good. Come on. Good. Go away. All right. Well, technical difficulty. All right, we're all set to go. Thank you for joining us today. We'll get our meeting started. My name is Kent Corey with Wiegand Enterprises, also co-chair of the Landlord Compact. We have, go ahead. Richard Booth, Social Security.
Bobby McCoy, the West Side Partner Safety and Outreach Manager. Dwayne, the West Side Ambassador.
We'll try to speak up a little louder than last time. If you are having trouble hearing us, please go into the chat and let us know. We'll get started right to the nuisance properties. First on the list, 2820 West Wells Street.
2820 West Wells Street's had 0 calls.
0 calls. Do we have DNS?
Yeah, DNS is here. There's nothing for that property.
All right, thank you. Next property, 2848 West Wisconsin, calls for service.
They had a total of 3 calls, battery, noise nuisance, and trouble with subjects.
DNS?
We have interior and some complaints for the property.
All right, good.
There's drug dealing going on at this property. They're taking the trash out the back door and throwing it across the street at 2904. Shooting dice and just a bunch of activity on the side of the building.
We also have a hangout in the middle part of there. It's like a grass area. They like to either do drugs back there. There's always a car parked up there, a group of people. Also have a table and benches back there.
I got a tow company that's towed 2 cars out of there so far. And I got the cleanup crew that's coming through hopefully this week to get the table and chairs and that stuff out by the trees back there.
All right, Bobby, where are we with, we were gonna get some more signs up or some more posts? I know Keith was talking about that.
We have the signs. We are going to
Okay.
purchase the posts and we're going to be installing them in hopefully early next week, if not tomorrow.
Okay. All right. I just want to step back. Is anybody here for Barada Properties today? Okay, thank you. And is anybody here for, would we say no, 2848, Palm Tree Concordia?
That's just all. Yeah.
All right, 730 North 29th Street, calls for service.
0.
DNS,
We have interior orders.
anybody here representing 730 North 29? John, do you have any information in regards to contact person for 2848 or 730? We heard that one of the partnerships was dissolved, Concordia Palm Tree.
So the last I heard is just Gary Krakenberg, but his special landlord inspector is actually out until about middle of September. So until he comes back, I am unable to verify if that's still the best contact or if there's someone else.
Okay. Let us know when you find that out, please, so that we know where to send our monthly invites.
Yep, will do.
Thank you. 835 North 23rd.
There's a total of 4. They had a theft, a threat, trouble with subject, and an armed robbery.
So what was the first call?
A theft,
Yeah, yep, thank you.
Mhm.
DNS,
We have interior exterior orders.
anybody here for Jamila today? 3345 West Highland, call for service.
there's a total of 4. Trouble with subject 3 times and a threat.
This property's out of control.
DNS,
Interior,
want to say something, Lucas, about?
It's drinking, loitering, police, bike guys in there told me there's holes in the walls, they're there consistently. They said there's no management in the building at all. They have to ask questions when they get there to find out where they're going.
Is there any way we can get an update of the plan that Jamila may have in place? Or if Jamila have a plan in place with MPD? I know some months back they met with the captain or something.
I can see if I can get that for you.
Thank you.
1143 North 29th. Calls for service.
There is a total of 2 calls for service, armed robbery and reckless use of a weapon.
Is that reckless use of a weapon my call for the 2 guys going in there with AR-15s?
We don't have all of the details of the calls on here. We're just reading. We typically just read off the nuisance calls. If there's anything that you want to know more about a call, you can email us and let us know.
I called in 2 people over there with AR-15s just walking in the building with them.
Okay.
There's nothing but loitering, hanging out, drinking, selling drugs. This is nonstop. They're in and out the back door of that building in the 2920 on Highland. And it's just nonstop. There's no management in the building whatsoever. There's trash all in front. It's terrible. And I don't know how long can this go on where they're allowed to do this?
We can take note of that and I can do some follow-up and try and get in contact with the owner. That was the 2809 West Highland Boulevard.
No, it's
1143 North 29,
and 2920.
So both of them.
2920 West Highland.
It's not a-
Okay.
Okay.
DNS for 1143 North 29.
we have interior orders.
2809 West Highland. Calls for service.
For the 2809, we had 2 nuisance eligible calls. One was an armed robbery and one was a reckless use of weapon.
DNS.
We have interior complaints.
Anybody here with smart assets today?
Yep, I'm here.
And that is
My name is Braden.
Braden.
Yep.
Okay.
Joseph that helps manage these unfortunately wasn't available to join us today, so I'll try to touch base with him on some of the issues that we're having here. For the DNS interior complaints, do we have open orders at this time?
Give me like 5 seconds. I can check here for you.
Okay, I can pull it up right after the meeting as well and check myself.
Okay. Do we have any other details for Braden on 2809 Lucas?
Hanging out
Or-
front, just hanging out. What?
That's pretty much what you guys seen, Dwayne.
So
Yeah.
I don't have, DNS doesn't have anything outstanding. It's just, like I said, the interior complaints of the property.
Is there any
Okay,
on-site
and then the-
management there, Braden?
So Joseph is kind of the on-site in that area for us. He does manage quite a few buildings. I know during the day he thinks things are pretty good. Is a lot of the loitering happening after 5 o'clock? Because unfortunately, that's when we do not have anybody.
It's all through the day.
All through the day being told by the ambassadors.
We even see Joseph, but he's usually inside the building across from there.
41.
Yeah, he's usually in that one. He's never really out by this one, but it's an all day thing.
Okay.
They're out there day and night.
I'll be having a conversation with him after the meeting today and see what we can do to resolve the issues.
Brendan, I have a question. I know when you guys took over a few years ago or last year, so you guys stated at one of the previous landlord compact meetings that you would be going inside to try to work on the inside of the building. Have you guys made any progress?
I would have to follow up with maintenance. We're a third-party management company, so a lot of times we actually have to get ownership to give us approval to do that work. Off the top of my head, I don't know who owns that. I can look into what orders we have open currently and what we're working on, and I can follow up with you with an email.
Heard some of the bike officers, they've stated that the interior doors is open or roped. And
Holes in the walls. They said the interior of the building's in sad shape.
You can just walk right into the front door. It's not, it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, front door doesn't latch. You can walk right in, according to the reports.
I'll bring that to management, see if we can get those doors fixed immediately, and then we'll probably end up setting a walkthrough with management to go through and just take pictures of everything and see what the shape is.
Okay, sounds good. 3120 West Wisconsin and 3128. Calls for service.
For 3120 West Wisconsin, we had a total of 1 nuisanceable call, which was a subject with gun. And for 3128 West Wisconsin, there was no nuisanceable calls.
UNS.
We have interior and exterior complaints.
Yeah, so in the past, I've mentioned there's kind of a bigger project going on over there. We're still working on trying to do a lot of upgrades over there. Unfortunately, it's been a longer process than we were hoping. If you wanted to talk more about that outside of this meeting, I'm happy to, but we are trying to work to do some major upgrades at the building.
Okay. All right, 23, next slide, 2319 West Michigan. Calls for service.
There was 0 nuisanceable calls.
DNS.
Nothing from DNS.
Are you affiliated at all, Brandon, with Braden, I'm sorry, with 2319?
I'm looking it up in my system and I'm not seeing it.
So this could be a S2 realty then, okay. And that's something you guys don't handle, correct?
Again, I'm not seeing this in my system, so I do not think we have anything to do with that.
All right, so anybody here for S2 realty? All right, so no representation for 2319. 2327 West Michigan. Calls for service.
For 2327 West Michigan, we had one nuisanceable call, which was a 911 abuse.
DNS,
Interior complaints?
And is that a S2 property as well?
yes.
Okay.
Uh, 901 commercial. Wow. All right.
The 2327 building.
Yeah, we got.
Yeah, Bobby saying,
All right. What's the next slide? That's what I thought. 1021 North 24th Street, calls for service.
There were 0 nuisanceable calls.
DNS,
Nothing from DNS.
We'll probably take this one off the list or something.
next slide. 2904 West Wisconsin, calls for service.
There was a battery, 2 troubled subjects, property damage, and a noise nuisance for a total of 5.
DNS,
Interior?
Yeah, we've got
Jim,
some progress over there with, so the side door, we installed that alarm and it was set off numerous times for like the first week, but now it's pretty much, not being accessed. People were coming in the front door, they'd go back to the back, open the back door, prop it, and then they had that access with that whole empty lot across the street, coming in, using the property, sitting on the stairs. So that part's pretty much eliminated. We do have evictions in, I think it's the 24th. We've got a few people that are still problems as far as fraternizing with the people outside, but that'll be shut down shortly. And then we have cameras, should have been up by now, but they're still dragging their feet. But hopefully by next week, we have 2 cameras on the southeast corner of the building, one shooting up 29th and one shooting west on Wisconsin. So it's much quieter now. That side door is pretty much not an issue. And I think by next month, there shouldn't be anything.
okay, perfect.
Jim, I got a quick question. Do you allow your tenants to have dogs, big dogs?
We don't allow it, but there's people that, especially one particular woman, she's got a license for a support animal. It's actually registered. So we're being told that we can't do anything about that.
Nope.
And that would be the pit bull?
Yeah.
The only thing that you check into is if you check with your insurance company and see if that's allowed, maybe that might be your ticket out.
Yeah, that's where I was gonna go with that. Good. Thanks for bringing up that point, because what I've noticed on some of the really hot days, they would be right in the middle of the sidewalk. And the pit bull is intimidating looking, and you
Yeah.
never know what can happen. I didn't think that the dog belonged in the building. Thanks for explaining that, but I do see where it could be a problem in the future if, kid come walking down the street and surprise the dog.
Yeah, when she moved in, I mean, right away, we're like, you can't have a dog. She whipped out all the paper on us. We said, well, you could have let us know. She said, I don't have to inform you. You know, she's all up on,
Actually, she does.
yeah, she claimed that she didn't. But anyway, we
Yeah.
talked to our attorney. He seemed to think, but if there's another way, I'm willing to explore it, but we don't want those kind of dogs. And then, you know, we had another tenant just get a dog because they saw that, thought they could get a dog. We got rid of that dog without issue, but yeah, it's not something we want.
But thanks for, I'm glad you're aware of it.
Yeah, no, we are. Thank you.
Because then that's creating, whatever the wordage is for too much of an expense. Yeah.
All right,
I can send that over to them.
thank you.
Okay, yeah.
Next slide, what do we got here? 28. Okay, 2836 West Wells. Calls for service.
There was zero nuisanceable calls at 2836 West Wells.
DNS.
So this one, I think I got an old list, so I'm looking it up right now. Give me a minute.
Sure thing.
I took pictures in the back and I sent them to Lindsay. There's people that's throwing trash all out on the back patios. It's one big long patio and they got rats back there
Lucas, you talking about on my side of the building where my,
on the other side behind.
it's on the
right truck.
opposite side?
Yeah.
Okay, they're doing the same thing on my side, where that lower roof lands at.
Yeah.
On my side of the building. And then there's a young man, he's about 15, 16 years old, with a long rifle BB gun, pointing it at my alarm thing on the outside of the building, using it as a, toy to play with. Yeah, we've had incidents with him for like 4 times, and I've spoken to Roberto about it. He says he's gonna give him a notice, and the little boy is still doing it. And he stays on the second floor, across from my uncle's apartment. So I mean, just think if it was a kid or he accidentally hit my uncle's window, then we got a problem.
All right.
So
We just have the fire inspection orders for this.
Okay. Next property. .3006 West Highland Boulevard, calls for service.
For 3006 West Highland, we had 2 threats, 1 battery, 1 troubled subject for a total of 4 nuisance eligible calls.
DNS.
Interior,
Next property. 1041 North 35th Street, calls for service.
We had 0 nuisanceable calls.
DNS.
nothing from DNS.
Yeah, we might consider taking this one off for the next landlord compact. We haven't spoken back with the gentleman that came into the office and made the complaint about the building.
Okay. Next property. 2816 West McKinley Boulevard.
We had 0 nuisanceable calls for 2816.
DNS.
Interior, exterior,
Next property.
Excuse me, can we go back to the previous one?
Sure.
I am Julie Kirksick. I am not able to speak directly from my own experience, but I live at 32nd and Juneau. I'm active in the neighborhood group this has been a continual source of not just concern, but actual threats from people who were in the building to neighbors who were trying to politely ask them to deal with behavior issues. What I don't understand in this process is, and I mean, we've been told, we had the meeting last month, we've been told people need to put the calls in on specific addresses and so on and so forth. But can Bobby or Keith or anybody just tell me whether the fact that there's no calls, does that mean that nothing? I'm not really understanding exactly how I can be helpful either to other neighbors about what's happening with this house or whether there's other things we should be doing.
Julie, thanks for being on the call. And I'll start the conversation and I will let MPD finish it up. But what we are asking MPD to report to us is nuisanceable calls. And I think the problem may be, or could be, why there's no calls for service register here. It's the type of calls that were placed did not rise to the level of nuisance. I think that might be an issue. MPD, can you help me out here or explain it a little clearer?
Yeah, so when you guys are asking for these calls, you ask for nuisance eligible calls. So there could be 5 calls at that address, but all 5 of them might not rise to the level of nuisance eligible. So there's certain things that aren't nuisance eligible, like DVs, they're not nuisance eligible. So there might be some calls there, but we can't necessarily nuisance that location for it. And when I did look at this house, I did not see a lot of calls. So that means that the neighbors aren't calling in the issues. And in order for them to, for us to nuisance a location, we really need the help from the neighbors calling in these things. So officers can go out there and actually substantiate what's going on. And then with those calls, we can nuisance the location, depending on if that's what the captain would like to do. And we have tried to reach out to the owners, but we haven't gotten much feedback from the owners. And we have done a knock and talks and things like that there too.
So that's where I would like to be. I'm not going to take up a lot of time on this, but I'm expecting that a number of the properties in our neighborhood will fall into the same category. There's a wide range of attitudes among residents, whether or not someone should call the police or not. We have been consistent in saying if there is threatening behavior or outright violence, that's obvious. But in other situations, I think part of what we're looking for from this process is not so much always police involvement, or at least I can only speak for myself. But I am looking for, if we're trying to reach, if direct conversations with tenants to try to politely engage is not successful. And of course, many tenants are wonderful, good neighbors. So this is not to blast tenants. But if there is a sense that the people are not responsive, is this landlord compact meeting a place to get help with how to really reach the landlord in question and who should do what? Am I being clear in the question?
You are. Can you tell me what kind of other calls that either you have made or some concerns in regards to this property, other than, the possible, threatening behavior? What other activity is actually happening?
As I said at the beginning, I got on this call and I left a work meeting so that I could be on this call just because we wanted somebody to try to be here. I don't live on McKinley, I live on Juneau. But what I understand from people is that that it comes down to kind of out of control children. I hope I'm getting this right about this particular address. Out of control behaviors that are enabled by the adults with no one willing to respond, and the impact on the next door neighbors who have been longtime residents who are very loving people who don't want to, send a negative message, but just the sense that her grandchildren were not safe in being able to play outside. That's my memory. I don't know, Keith, if you remember anything different.
Hey, Julie, this is Dwayne. You are right. It is a bunch of really kids that live right there in that house and on that block. We have had a complaint before from a long-time resident that's no longer a resident, was Denise Long, who complained about this address and a couple more addresses on that block. So we have heard these accusations before and seen it for ourselves also too.
Is this a single family home? It's a
I believe
duplex?
so. Yes, I believe.
It's a duplex.
Duplex, okay.
Oh, it is? But it's only listed with the one, so it's only the one. Okay.
I
sorry.
think I think one might be vacant. It's only occupied by one family, but it is a duplex.
I see.
Right. And Bobby, do we have ownership information on this property?
I think we do have ownership information on it, and I'm certain that a letter went out. However, that's something that I know they had a Cold Springs Park meeting about a week ago or so, and this was a definite concern of theirs. I was thinking that maybe this is something, Julie, that we probably will have to work a little closer with the CPU team for advice as to how we do this, how we monitor it in the community, and try to get a meeting set aside with the landlord, see if we could talk directly to the landlord. If I'm not mistaken, this property was a problem a couple of years back, and we spoke with the landlord, and the landlord ended up evicting the people that were there. But that may have been more than 2 years ago.
So we'll reach out to ownership first, and then we'll take the next steps if we don't see any progress with that communication.
Keep calling and don't give up the fight. Don't let them win. You have to keep
No,
calling.
no, I appreciate that. And I do think that these meetings, obviously when landlords are participating, that is terrific. And, I think the other thing I just want to share is that I am so looking for some greater range of response than police involvement.
We understand.
I don't think that really, and I'm not saying I don't want the police to respond. If I call you, please come. But I try very hard to think about other ways to engage or deal with issues.
Well,
short
especially on
of
this,
police.
yeah, especially on this level. We're not at the level where we need police involvement just yet, or at all probably, but between community organization and outreach, and that will be our first attempt to reach back out to that owner personally and try to get some type of cooperation from him.
Okay, thank you.
The owner lists Palm Beach, Florida.
It's
It's an LLC.
251 Brady Place.
There are many different resources. Even if you do call the police, you can request a certain unit, whether it's a CART team or a special team for elderly as well as for children. So there's a lot of different phone numbers out there. So if you want me to put some of those phone numbers together, I can do that.
Sure, that'd be great. But like I said, we'll try to make the first contact, Bobby, again, yeah, like we had success years ago, like you said. So then we'll go from there. Thank you, Julie.
Of course, thank you. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to actually, the next thing that I have at work, I can't bug out of, sorry.
No worries. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, everyone.
All right,
Bye now.
Julie, have a good day.
Next property. 3304 West McKinley, calls for service.
We had 0 nuisanceable calls.
DNS,
Nothing from DNS.
I have an update. I spoke with the owner, Nancy Gonzalez, today, And the property is currently vacant and she is putting it up for sale. She's having some work done, new floors and painting, and her asking price is gonna be around 120 to 125,000. But she is not going to rent it back out, she's going to sell the property.
Okay. Okay, good. Next property? 1233-1235 North 33rd Street, calls for service.
I had 0 nuisanceable calls for both addresses.
DNS,
Nothing from DNS.
okay. Next property? So, excuse me, everybody, what,
Okay, that was addresses that Keith asked that we add today, and there should be someone from Cold Spring Park other than Julie.
but these addresses did not
They,
make
they, they,
DNS or MPD,
no,
so we're not gonna talk about it today.
we just wanted them added to this landlord contract.
Too late.
Commissioner,
Okay,
not running.
so,
What's like, ask if there's someone from Cold Spring Park on the call to talk about that, and we could probably schedule that at the end of the time.
anybody here from Cold Spring Park? Julie was the only one.
That was just Cold Spring Park, Julie Kursick.
So, okay, so
Julie Kursick's from Cold Spring Park.
Thank you, Barb. Okay. All right, we'll get into the business nuisances. 901 North 27th Street, calls for service.
We had 0 nuisance eligible calls.
DNS,
Nothing from DNS.
you have a comment?
yeah, he added new lighting around the perimeter of the building, and it really looks good at night as far as being lit up. So he is constantly doing some work, and he also allowed us to add additional cameras to his building for our New West Side Camera Initiative project. So Bobby has been cooperative with us. We're trying to get things under control. The windows are boarded up on the property next door that he owns, the 911. He picks up in the front for the most part. So I would say at this point, it's a work in progress.
Okay.
We did also notice a homeless gentleman likes to come in periodically and sleep at 911.
He was butt naked the other day in that alcove.
Yeah. I try to get his information before, but he didn't want to give me his name.
Lindsay, is there any grant money for murals for the boards that he has on the windows instead of, to take them down, do a mural or something like with the kids from neighborhood house? You think they could go out there and paint something?
It's possible. I think we'd want to, talk to the property owner and get an idea of what they are willing to commit as far as maintenance and imagery and we want something that looks good and high quality and complimentary. So it's possible.
Okay. Next property? 2903 West Clybourne, calls for service.
We had just 1. It was a property damage.
This place is completely out of control. I go past there every day at least 5 times. They're out in the street gambling, carrying guns, selling weed. The bike guys are over there consistently, disrespectful to the police. I mean, it's something has to be done. And I know people are saying it's not the store owner's problem because it's across the street in an alley park. But if he wasn't serving the people coming in this store, we wouldn't have this problem. And he's serving them. They're coming and get Philly blunts, playing the poker machines that he's got in there. And he never comes out of the store. I've never once seen him out in front showing anybody from in front of the store. And it's nonstop every day. It starts up at like 11 and doesn't end until the store closes at 9.
Bobby, did somebody reach out in regards to the slots? I know we talked about this at our pre-meeting.
Yes, the slots are, in his opinion, the slots are not the issue. People come play the slots. The people that play the slots are not the people that's hanging out. My conversations and meetings with the gentleman that manages and run the building is that he's cooperative. He's also done a lot on the outside of his building, and he's open to mainly any suggestion that we may have, except for removing the slots because, you know, they're active. But I think this is I think this is a situation where we probably have to work closely with our friends in law enforcement to see if there's another strategy, because there's multiple houses on the block that's more of the issue than the physical building of the store.
But that's most of the people that on the slot, those people that's coming from those houses. We witnessed it, me, Terrell, and other people I've been working with. We witnessed the people go from the slot to the houses to get more money to come back to the slot. And then those same people are the ones in the cars and everything. Those people are coming from that, the same houses on both sides. Okay.
All right, DNS,
Nothing from DNS or the corner store.
and PD have anything? I know we talked last time about this particular location with the few calls.
I mean, every time we talk to the store owner, he's very cooperative. He works with us. When we tell him to call, he calls. I think he was actually a caller on this nuisance call that we have. So he's very cooperative. If it's happening mid-block and they're hanging out at these houses, it would be better for the residents and people to call in the activity that's happening at the addresses of the houses. Because if it's not necessarily the store, we're not going to go after the store. If they're hanging out at houses, it'd be better to get the addresses of the houses that the problems are occurring at and potentially maybe nuisance those along the way.
It's the sidewalk directly across the street in front of the city tot lot is where they got their milk crate set up. They got cars on both sides of the street. They have to keep the drugs inside the cars. Cars pull up, they're just delivering, making nonstop. And then that little alley that's next to the tot lot, they sit there and shoot dice all day.
Okay. Well, still just calling those things in, having police respond to, the gambling, the loitering, and that will help deteriorate some of that. Because unfortunately, the store isn't across the street. They're just hanging out in a vacant lot that we can't really tie to the store.
Okay, thank you very much. Next property, 930 North 27th Street, Family Dollar. Calls for service.
We had a total of one nuisanceable call, which was a troublous subject.
DNS,
There are monthly re-inspections for the interior, exterior of the property.
okay. Anybody here for Family Dollar today? Do we have any update? Or experience, anything like that? Nothing right now?
Nothing new.
This is Barb Scotty. I've been in the
This is
neighborhood.
who? I can't hear.
Sorry, Barb Scotty.
Barb Scotty.
Oh, yay. I'm wondering, I'm spending time at least a couple hours a week at 27th and Richards in the neighborhood house garden. And there's in the early evening and it's a mess over there and there is drug dealing. I'm taking pictures. What do I do with that? And do I call while it's occurring? Because most likely there's going to be no response unless I see a gun.
If you are seeing drug dealing and it's happening at the Family Dollar, we encourage you to call. That's helpful for any nuisance process. I mean, yes, they do prioritize our calls, and maybe, that might not be a higher priority than a subject with gun, but you should still be calling that in and documenting it.
Okay.
What should she do with all the pictures? Get those to you.
She can email them to us.
Okay.
And then we can also, pass it along to other specialty units that can help with drug stuff.
Okay, I'll get that done.
One of the other issues that we're seeing more of in the parking lot is people peddling other goods.
Yeah, perfume man's out there every day.
Yeah, and socks and all kinds of different things. It would be nice if someone could check to see if they have peddler license. Yeah, we don't. And that does bring more attention to that parking lot that really does need it.
Is there a special unit that checks that, officer?
We do have like a licensing division. I can check into it a little bit more. I'm not like super up to date on licensings and that, but I know we have different resources throughout the department that I can check with.
Yeah, I guess it's a pretty consistent and regular activity there, so,
They're just in the parking lot selling things?
Yeah,
in the parking lot.
yeah. And
Okay,
the security, whenever security's there, they always conversate with him. So
okay.
They're not moving around. So.
Yeah, Family Dollar should be telling that, like, if they're on their property, I mean, they shouldn't be letting
Right.
people sell things on their property. But,
Takes away from their business, right?
yeah,
Yeah. Okay, next property. 927 North 27th Street, call for service.
we had 0 nuisanceable calls.
DNS,
Nothing from DNS.
next property. 959 North 27th, the glass joint, calls for service.
We had 0 nuisanceable calls.
DNS,
Nothing from DNS.
is that our last property? Oh, and we've got 914 North 27th Street, the Wendy's, calls for service.
We had 2 troubled subjects at that location.
That strip, that grass strip that they said was Family Dollar, that actually Wendy's. And if you go behind the garbage corral in the back of the parking lot, that's where all these guys are hiding their beer. Yesterday, there was a man with a gun over there they had a call for that. They're out there 24/7. Big Lord is leading the way with all these idiots. And they sit there all day. It's sometimes at the peak, it's 20 guys out there.
Hey,
Great.
Hey, John, did you put the pictures that I sent you on here for this particular address?
Were you asking if I saw them?
Yes, did you add them to this slide?
Did I add the pictures to the slide?
No, it's not you, John.
Josh, not John.
Josh, not John.
Sorry.
No, I got 3 pictures, I believe, from you guys. I have, did you send me pictures for homeless intervention? Because I have some pictures of Wendy's for
Yeah,
homeless intervention.
No, it wasn't for the intervention, on it, it was stated for, putting it as in the slide for the people that hang out right there, pictures of them hanging out on the slab and also hanging out on the pillars by Wendy.
Yeah, give me one.
We'll take a quick commercial break. We'll be back to you in 5 seconds.
I'd like to take the time to point out owner, fairly new owner in the area, but I mean, new about a year or so, Mr. D'Angelo Purnell. He owns the nail spa right on the corner, the building, right on the corner of 27th and State. Mr. Purnell, would you like to say a few words real quick while we got this moment?
Kind of caught me off guard, but no, I'm just I just kind of looking at the community, just kind of getting an understanding of what's going on in the neighborhood. I mean, I see a lot of things, a lot of these some of these businesses, and see a lot of the loitering as well, especially sitting out in front of Family Dollar or whatever the case is. And I'm just trying to get a kind of a gauge of what's going on in the community and see what I can do to help.
That's good. Thanks for that, Mr. Purnell. You have 3 commercial fronts, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Can you tell us the business outside the nail spa that's currently operating in those other 2 commercial locations?
The nail spa, it's the nail spa, and then there's a clothing store that's in the middle unit, and then the end unit is basically a beauty supply store is what's going to go there. What's going in that unit?
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I got him, Dwayne. You send him to my other email, but I got him. I'll send him to Elizabeth, and maybe she can just share him on the screen for us.
Okay, thank you, Josh. This is the last property that we have? Yes, we do. Any other announcements or topics while photos are being, Lindsay?
For those who are here in the room, you will see that I'm wearing this amazing Near West Side Week shirt.
Does it come in other colors?
No, navy blue is the color that looks best on me, and that is the color we ordered. Next week, actually starting this Sunday is Near West Side Week. So we have different events every single day of the week. I have posters here if you'd be willing to take them and put them in your building. Bobby and Dwayne and Terrell, if you can hang them up throughout the community. It's going to be the first time we've ever done it, done a week-long event, but we have a variety of different things happening: movie nights, walking tours, walk and ride to the Hank Aaron State Trail. So it'll be a fun week. I hope you can participate in some form or fashion, even if that participation is just hanging up a poster.
Don't forget the scavenger hunt. That's probably the
Scavenger
most
hunt.
active.
There are discounts to restaurants on Tuesday and Wednesday. So a lot of cool stuff.
Nice. Josh?
Yeah, I just realized, like I said, I sent them to Elizabeth, but we're not doing the slideshow. I can just share my
Oh.
screen.
Okay, great.
I ask a quick question. Excuse me.
Uh.
You know, if somebody by Texas Buffkin or
She lost her mind.
I'm not asking what her personal.
I'm saying she's really what she's gone.
From the last thing that I know, the bank had took the building back. And it is a bank that is in, I believe, Texas, that has the property. They were trying to sell the property right around when COVID had hit. They were trying to sell the property for around $200,000 at that time.
It's a mess
It is.
around there, and
Which properties are we talking about?
I don't know the address.
The old nursing home that used to be on 34th and well.
Oh, okay, yeah.
827 North 34th Street.
Yeah, I guess she's got the duplex that's right across the lot that's gone too. She lost that too. All she has is the match.
All right, here's some pictures. Oh, yeah. A little loitering going around, a little hanging out.
And these are the normal people. They're usually more than that, but these are some of the normal people that sit over there.
Have we made a call to Wendy's at all, ownership?
We haven't talked to the ownership, but we talked to the general, the manager that's there to get us in contact with.
What does he say?
Is it O'Neill, his last name?
Yeah, I think they got us confused with somebody else with that last name. But
Junior Bridget.
they wasn't too concerned. They were like, honest to God comment was that we'd rather have them over there than knocking on customers' doors when they're in the park, when they're in the drive-thru. So that was the sentiment that came from the manager there.
And what you need to do is do like checkers, you pick your shit up and move it to another part of the city.
All right, so we need to reach out to
That's what you need.
not just on-site management, we need to go a step further.
Yeah.
Junior Bridget.
Okay. All right, okay, thank you for the pictures, Josh. Well, Dwayne. All right, do we have any other business?
None on this end.
Okay. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We'll see you all next month, same place, same time. What's the day? Looking at the 14th, it looks like, of October. Enjoy the rest.